The advice and opinions expressed by Dr. Granpeesheh and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Good morning and welcome to Ask Dr. Doreen. We're
Good
live
morning,
in
good
the
morning.
studio this morning.
Yes, we
Dr.
are.
Granpeesheh, good morning.
It's
so thrilled
been
to
a
be
while.
It's been a while since we've been here in the studio together, and it's
Yeah.
always, even when we do the long distance, like that's fun, but it's you
not the
bring
same,
an energy
sure.
in.
Yeah,
and
no, I wish I
bask.
was here longer, yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
fun. Come and
Yeah.
stay as long as you can. I know she's so busy. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh, true expert in the field of autism, I believe the expert in our time.
Thank you,
And
Jenna.
what other time than this? And she donates this time and we're now entering our 16th year. Stop.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just stop. Like, it's crazy.
That's amazing.
But so for 15 years, she's volunteered this time to come and be with all of you and answer your questions. So we're live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It's the 21st of July, 2026. Yes, checking the date. And we're thrilled to be here. Our fabulous Chris Desmond is showing you on the screen some of the different ways that you can connect with us. We know that a lot of you listen in podcasts. Boy, we love our listeners. We're available as a free download wherever you get your podcasts, and so we hope you'll check that out. Of course, we're all adults. We know that comes with some ads. We hope that you enjoy that and go, woohoo, I'm not paying for it, they are. But if that's not your jam, if you prefer to have it ad-free, you can absolutely have that too. You go to glow.fm/autism live. Now, don't be fooled, because it's actually everything we do in the Autism Network. For $5 a month, anytime we do a new show, we go out and do something on location, whatever, whether it's Ask Dr. Doreen, Autism Live, Parent to Parent, whatever it is, it will show up in your inbox and it will be free of ads. That's only $5 a month. So we're not trying to make money off of you. We whittled it down to the least amount, but we wanted it available for those of you who tell us you're on the treadmill or in the car and you want the content pure. So, and it's so nice because it shows up in your inbox and you don't have to go looking for it,
Right.
which is wonderful. So, also want to say to you guys, we have two very robust YouTube channels. There's the Autism Live YouTube channel, but there is the Ask Dr. Doreen YouTube channel. And you can go to either one of them, watch back episodes, search questions. You can send questions. We try to monitor those pretty stringently so that we see if you guys write something in. Did I forget anything?
No, I think we're good.
Well, I do want to say that I keep telling everybody, save the date for the All Ghouls Gala this year that's happening on actual Halloween. And I already think it's going to be off the chain. I mean, it always is. But the fact that it's on Halloween,
I know.
I like it. It's a little bit
I know.
like what?
It's kind of getting scary now. Last year, I remember thinking, oh my God, we've outsold and gone beyond.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was kind of scared in terms of, but then it was good because people, it's over a long period of time, right? It's 6 to like midnight or past, and so people came at different times, so we were okay.
Yeah, but it's
going to sell out fast this year.
It really is, and I told everybody that last year, and I think a lot of people didn't believe me. And that last week and a half
Everybody was
crazy.
Calling. I know, me too.
They were like, "Can you squeeze in one more person? Can I volunteer?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I've been saying it for months, people." Now the tickets are not yet available. I'm just telling you to save the date, but I will tell you when. I think probably it's like September 1st.
Yeah, I
we put the
would
tickets
imagine
on sale.
that's the time. Yeah, I'll talk to Sarah today.
So, Huma, we're so thrilled to hear from you. Huma's with us from Pakistan. We're so thrilled. And I hope Parker joins us today because Parker sent me a question yesterday.
Okay.
I literally was on a break because the movers, I've been moving, you guys, and the movers were moving stuff past me. And at that point, you can't do much, right?
Right.
So I was trying to check email, and Parker sent us an email. But let me say this before I do anything else. The topic that we're going to be talking about today is about teaching independence, because that's a hard thing. Parker's written about something separate, but I feel like it kind of goes with it in an interesting sort of way. So I'm going to deal with Parker's question first, because we hope he's watching. And I do want to say to you, Parker, Parker is my buddy in reality television.
Okay.
So Parker is a big fan of Big Brother, as am I.
Okay.
And Big Brother started, I don't know, like a week and a half ago, and I've seen like 10 minutes of it because, I've been busy. So Parker, I might need you to catch me up on Big Brother.
That's hilarious.
He's so funny that he went to, I don't know what event he was at. You probably don't know who Boston Rob is.
No.
Because he was on Survivor.
Okay,
and he
yeah.
was very famous, and he, married the girl he was on Survivor with. And
and
then he's been on other games as well. Like, you don't watch Traitors, do you?
I watch silly things like that, but not those particular ones. Like right now, I just started watching Ultimatum. I don't know if you've seen.
I have seen that one.
Well,
like the first season. I like the ones that it's like I used to watch Survivor. I haven't.
Those just make me anxious,
and I get anxious now.
Oh
with
my
Survivor.
God, I can't watch this
because I just feel like at some point somebody's gonna die.
Yeah, and I worry for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's deceptive.
Yeah,
and that part kills me. Like I can't. Yeah.
But a lot of times they feature folks on the spectrum now.
Okay.
And that makes me really happy. And for instance, on Big Brother, it was many seasons ago that there was a young man who did not disclose, but he was on the spectrum and he won.
Okay.
And then he disclosed that he was on the spectrum. And so they brought him, they do all-star summers.
Okay.
And so he came back in after having disclosed, and it was a big thing, made the news, made me want to kill people. And you know me, I'm so passive. But there was one blonde-haired girl who kept playing with her hair who said he was annoying because he rocked.
Oh, okay.
And she kept playing with her hair, and I was like,
I'm going to scalp you about this, actually. Yeah.
It made me so mad at her. Anyway, so I tend to love watching the shows. But so Parker went to an event, and Boston Rob was there.
Okay.
And Boston Rob has now been on Traitors, and he's been on Big Brother, and been on all of them. And so Parker went up and had a conversation with Boston Rob and said, you got to meet my friend Shannon, who does a podcast about autism.
No
they had a
way.
whole conversation.
That's awesome.
He sent me a picture of him with Boston Rob talking about
amazing.
me. So Parker, we got to talk Big Brother. I really haven't seen it. Huma says, for independence, where can we start? And we're going to get to that in just a second, Huma. So, but Parker had written in and said, Dear Shannon, I hope you're doing well. I've been following a lot of the recent discussions online, particularly within spaces for parents of individuals with profound autism, and talking about regarding late stage diagnoses. There seems to be a growing sentiment that these adults or celebrity diagnoses are being viewed as trendy, which has been quite hurtful to experience. Although I was diagnosed as a child, this is Parker referring to himself, it feels as though some members of the community are directing their frustrations regarding their children's challenges toward individuals who were diagnosed later in life, who actively self-advocate. I fully understand and recognize that individuals with profound autism frequently fall through the cracks and require significant, intense support. However, taking those system-focused frustrations out on self-advocates, those who self-diagnose and those who receive late-in-life diagnoses, feels like a disheartening shift for the autism community. I am concerned that we are seeing a significant rift form over this issue. How amazing are you, Parker?
I know. I was just enjoying his writing
I
so much.
know. He says, I would love to know your thoughts on this matter, as well as Dr. Doreen's perspective, if she is available to share them. And he says, if you're unavailable, he completely understands, but would truly appreciate it. Both of your viewpoints on this current situation. Thank you very much for your time and insight. We just love you, Parker. Seriously.
Beautiful writing, Parker. Amazing.
Absolutely. You know, for the new book that I've been working about at Play, I asked a bunch of people, did anybody want to write something? And Parker wrote something that we're including in the book.
That's amazing.
It was just beautiful.
Yeah, I'm just always very impressed by you, Parker. I love who you are.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts about this whole thing. I'm sure we all do. I see both sides. I think I see a third side, which is the diagnostician side. So there's let's talk about the profoundly affected. And because that's the one that I feel the most for, I want to say, because they really don't have as much of a voice. It's just that simple because, their voice is their parents' voice, and their parents are usually exhausted and they're just trying to survive and take care of their kids and not necessarily figuring out how can I get how can I go out there and talk about this? Like they're not doing that. So we hear much less about it, but the truth is it's very severe, and it's very, it changes your life 99%. Like you have a very different life. So that is that. Okay. And then you have the individuals who are much mildly affected, much less affected, but there's a whole gradient, honestly. You can't say it's this or that, right? There's like people who are extremely severely affected, and then moderately, and then less and less and less. I mean, it's a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
And then you have individuals who are mildly affected, but they struggle in society in other ways. I would say they're less sheltered. So let's think of it that way, because those who are severely affected are very protected and sheltered by their families, by their parents, by their society, by the places we found for them, etc. The ones who are closer to like typical development are not sheltered. So they're kind of thrown in the middle of everyone.
Yeah.
And so they suffer in a different way, right? Because they have higher levels of anxiety. They are always on edge because they're trying to fit in. They're trying to figure things out. They don't have the same level of support, obviously. They don't have that guidance. They feel left out. They feel isolated. They feel low self-esteem, lots of stuff, right? So there's, and no one can say this is better than that or that is better than this. Both groups suffer in one way or another. Then, put that aside for a minute, then you actually do have people who are playing the system. And I will say that, Parker, because I have met people like that who have come to me for diagnosis in order to get ridiculous accommodations at work. People who did not have the diagnosis. I mean, I know autism, right? I mean, I don't need to sit in a room and administer an ADOS. I've done this for 50 years. I can diagnose an individual within 5 minutes of talking to them. And I have had young people come to me, especially during COVID when I was doing a lot of diagnosis. A lot of people would come to me and they were trying to get off work.
Right.
And I would sit there and say, I'm sorry, but you just don't qualify for this diagnosis. You might have anxiety, social anxiety. You need to go and maybe get some medication for that or go to therapy. But what you have is not autism. And they would literally get upset, and angry about it because I had ruined their chances of getting off work. It's kind of like people who did and still do try to get on Adderall, so they fake ADHD.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So this is the kind of thing that also happens out there, Parker, and that, I think, more than anything else, puts a bad look on the whole diagnosis issue, so that a lot of neurotypical people are like, is it a fad now for everyone to say I have autism, and that kind of excuses them from whatever it is they don't want to do? So we just have to understand that people have these different experiences. I don't think the problem is that, I think, let me put it this way. I think the problem is that as human beings, we tend to generalize everything. And like you'll see one or two instances of everything and then of something, and then you'll make a generalization about that. And that'll be your rule. All people like this are actually like that. And that's just where things go wrong.
So my take on this is that it's all about independence.
Interesting.
I mean, this is our topic today, is about teaching independence. But from my point of view, I mean, I know people who have profoundly affected children.
Yes.
And the grief that they have over the fact that it's not that there's no independence that their child can be taught, but they understand at a certain point their child is not going to lead an independent life.
Yeah.
And there is a tremendous amount of grief around that.
I mean,
but it's more than that, because it means that parent isn't going to lead an independent life in a lot of cases.
Exactly, ever.
So their whole life is going to be surrounding around the care to some extent, because people find solutions, right?
If they can afford it.
If they can. They, but that's going to be a huge focus in their life. And that's a terrible place of needing to accept right? And if every day you're fighting for any amount of help, support, or anything, and you're dealing with the grief of the independence, then you have other people who come in the door who, they have kiddos that are not as affected. And of course, you're going to compare. Of course, you're going to compare. And that's always hard. And I feel that. I have survivor guilt. And I say this all the time that, I was in a group of parents where we were worried, were our children ever going to be independent? And then my child became independent.
Right.
And some of the other kids didn't. And I have survivor guilt, and I have to sometimes meet her because stuff will happen even now because my son's a person. He has stuff that is challenging for him anyway, as do all of us, right? But I have to make sure that I don't talk about it too much with those group of friends because I know it's hard for them.
Right.
It's just, it's not kind. And so I have to, edit a little bit. But then there's a whole group of other people who are getting diagnosed as adults, which means they already have achieved a certain level of independence.
Yes.
But they have areas where they're difficult.
Right.
Right? And I don't want us ever to lead out and be like, oh, they have no challenges because they're already leading some independence. But I see where part of the problem is they're getting the attention.
Yeah.
Because they're celebrities and they're stars. And for the families that have the kids who are profoundly affected, it is becoming adversarial. Yeah. I understand why.
Absolutely.
I wish we would come up with a different word.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I agree.
For the parents that I know that are about it, who are frustrated, they're like, but people, it's not that they want to take anything away from the celebrities at all. No. But it's that they know that they have the ear of the public.
Yeah.
And then the public hears autism, and I can do all these things and I can star on the show. And it does mean that attention is lost towards the kids that need a lot more support. So I wish we would call it something else. I love it when somebody says, I have adult diagnosed autism. I feel like that's so respectful.
Right.
That acknowledges I wasn't diagnosed with this. I didn't go through what your kid went through.
Right.
I have my own story.
Right.
And it's specific. And, and there were parts of it that were traumatic.
Right.
But so I appreciate that when they qualify that and say, this is the type of autism I have, adult diagnosed.
But you have to, even with that, Shannon, you have to be savvy enough to understand that if someone was diagnosed in adulthood, that means they're minimally affected.
Exactly.
That connection has to be made. For us, it's like, it's part of our lives, so we know that, right?
Yes.
But for the general public, I believe what happens is, okay, so societal support goes down because of what people think of autism is incorrect.
Right.
That's the problem. So when you have celebrities saying, oh, I think I have autism too, meanwhile they're, doing extremely well, billionaires, etc. It makes society think, oh, this is interesting, so it's just, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Whereas,
so you can be a millionaire.
And not just a millionaire, but like happy and successful and well known and happy, on YouTube and whatever, like fine, right? Meanwhile, then I see, parents of a young 30-year-old man who today is having a hard time and has decided to scream in bed, and mom and dad are altering schedules so they can be with him and take care of him. So, there's such a huge spectrum here that it is truly, that's why my heart goes out to those who are profoundly affected, because they really are the lost kind of generation. They're the lost group. No one really thinks in terms, even us, like, let me be very frank and say this. So we're a growing ABA organization, right? And we are providing services to younger kids, but we also take older individuals. And we have 40-year-olds and so on. But one thing that my staff, no matter how much we try, is just not ready for, trained for, and our environments are not secure enough for, is severe aggression, right? Which is honestly, I don't know, maybe a fourth of our kids have severe aggressive behavior, and we have to turn them away because our teams are not, can't handle that. Our clinics are not safe enough for that. Do you know what I mean?
But can I be fair to you and say that there was a time when you did and you were and
Oh,
you
absolutely,
had that,
yeah.
but insurance wouldn't fund it anymore. And then your clinics changed as a result. Because it used to be, and I can remember when you had clinics that were set up for that, but the funding sources would pay to have 2 and 3 people on the team.
Right.
And then insurance said, we're not going to do that anymore. If they're that severe, they have to go.
Oh, no. They pay for 2, but they pay a 10th.
Well, that's, you know,
which
it's
is
the
hilarious.
same as not paying
Which is
for
hilarious, yeah. So even if you have 2 people, it doesn't add up to the rate of
Yeah.
1. It's a really
But
weird...
I wanted to make sure that we're fair to you. It wasn't like you made a decision.
But honestly, Shannon, it wasn't because of that. The reason I stopped is because of the injuries that were taking place. Yeah. It was because I had too many... I mean, I have to take care of my employees as well. They're my kids just like our patients are my kids. So there were too many injuries. Yeah. And no matter how much, I mean, for years we've had assaultive behavior management training. Oh, yeah. We have Art going to all the offices, retraining. All of our BTLs are trained. They continue to be trained. It wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. Yeah. And we have protective equipment. We do a lot that's very, very expensive, but it just wasn't enough. And I felt like, what are we doing? Like, this is, if you are not able to manage an individual with severe challenging behavior, what ends up happening in that dynamic is that their severe challenging behavior gets worse. Yeah. Because you are not able to manage it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that was my reasoning, and I was like, we shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. So.
Well, but unfortunately, there aren't enough places that can. And that's
even the best places. Like yesterday, I spent the afternoon with a young man who is almost 11 now, and has continued. I knew him since he was 2. Has continued to have very severe behaviors, and he has, I would say, hands down, the best team of therapists. Peter being one of them, but literally the best team I have ever assembled. Like, you cannot have a team as good as this. The dream team, in every possible way. Yeah. But they are so burnt out themselves that I was observing some behaviors and I immediately had solutions. Yeah. I was like, wait, why aren't you guys doing this and this? And then they were like, well, because some, just the pessimistic side. Well, because, before you know it, it'll turn into this, and because he'll this. And I was like, well, why don't we just try it? Yeah. And you try it and it immediately stops the aggression, And so I think what happens with those severe challenging cases is we burn out.
Like, well, certainly the parents do.
The parents definitely do. Yeah. So, kind of going back to what Parker was talking about here, it's not... there's no I don't think there's anger amongst the groups. I think that it's just important. The solution is what Shannon said. There has to be 2 different names. Yeah. This is not, and there used to be 2 different names.
Yeah, I think we need more than 2 different names. I think we need 17 different names.
Honestly.
But, we need somebody, and I'm like, oh, is it us? We need somebody to make a documentary and be like, here's this kid, here's this kid, here's this kid.
Here's the faces of autism, honestly.
Yes. Here we are. Get Claude involved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But to show people distinctly, and then we just need, Ryan Reynolds to voice it so that everybody will watch it. Okay, well, we have our work cut out for us this week. Let's go back to talking about independence, because we promised everybody we were. And this is an important topic.
Yes,
Whom has already written in and said independence. One of the things that my head at one point was... that somebody said to me, well, it's very clear, Shannon, that what you want is independence for your child. You talk about it all the time. This is when he was like 10 or 11. And I was like, yes, of course I want independence. And they said, but then there's this other part of you, Shannon, that what you want to do is make him safe. You've talked about duct taping him to the wall before, and because it's very important to you that he stays safe. Yeah. And they're like, these 2 things are going like this, Shannon. Sure. And you're going to have to decide. You don't have to completely let go of one or completely let go of the other, but minute by minute, you're going to have to allow yourself to be a little uncomfortable. Yeah. So that you teach him independence without holding him back, but keep him safe. Right. And for me, this was life-changing, and I don't know now, looking back, if we would have gotten to the level of independence that we have, you have taken me aside probably 20 times and said, Shannon,
let him go.
Let him do his
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
When I was going to stop him. So I do want to bring up that side of it, that we need to be mindful as parents that, and not let go of either thing. Of course you want your children to be safe. Of course you do. That is a rational thing. But I think that having to think it through for myself and go, at what cost, and how can I let that apron string out an inch at a time?
Yes.
Still working on it, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, of
but
course.
Much better.
Right.
I think that that's a part of it. But Huma wants to know, where do we start?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question, Huma, because it really, independence comes at different levels and looks different at different ages for different severities. Right, so like if you have a 2-year-old, and now the 2-year-old is going to the bathroom by themselves, we can say they have mastered independent potty training. So that's a level of independence.
Yeah.
But still, maybe at 4 they don't go because they're in school, and so now you have to kind of retrain. This is how you do it at school, and then they become independent in that task there. Yeah. So that's kind of one example of individual situations of independence. And then on the larger scale, obviously, independence is being able to meet all of one's own needs.
Yeah.
And that's, a series, I think, to me at least, it's a series of things you master over time.
Yeah.
And that's really all it is. It's a series of, you learn skills, just like, and I look at it like I've always, and maybe that's kind of why my kids do well, is I've always just looked at them as typically developing kids. It doesn't matter. Like, you're learning something, I have to teach it to you in a different way. But once you've learned it, you use it, you're independent in it. Do you know what I mean? And maybe you're not aware of certain things, but I can teach you those things, and then you're fully independent. Does that make sense? It's kind of like the same thing. So independence, I guess you could break it down and say, it has to involve a certain level of, it's funny because a lot of our men are still not independent, but if you really think about it.
I was just going to make the argument that I don't really know that any of us are totally independent.
Absolutely right, yes. So, but if you think about it, when you're growing up, like what you want for your kids at a certain age, you want them to be independently able to get ready, have some level of hygiene. It's funny because one of my old moms, whose son is now 45, I want to say, reached out to me and said, I need your help. We need to teach him better hygiene. And, he's married and all this later. And I was like, that's so funny. It's hilarious. But, so it's a matter of like saying I guess the levels of things we go through in life. So independence, like let's say with self-help and grooming skills, then independence in school, right? Academics and all the things that go to school, then studying, etc. And then independence with peers. Yeah. And how do you manage that sort of thing without going wrong? And then independence with, like, let's say, family relations. I mean, it's a bunch of learning things and then becoming so good at it that you can do it on your own. Yeah, that's essentially how I see it, right?
Okay, so let's dive into some specific questions. This one broke my heart because I really can remember a time when I felt this way. Parent says, we went to a park the other day. They were having a concert, and all I really wanted to do was sit on a blanket and listen to the music. But my son is autistic and 6 years old. I have to stay on him and to make sure he doesn't run for the trees or the parking lot or just leave with some random person. Yeah. Even last year, it felt like all the moms in our group were on this same page. But this summer, I feel like they've left us behind. My friends were sitting on the blanket sipping wine while I was watching my 6-year-old and their 6-year-olds. It just killed me. The biggest issue is that I can feel myself giving up hope. I can't picture a time when I'm going to be able to sit on the blanket drinking and not worrying about where he is and what he's doing. Is this my whole life? Is it still possible that he will eventually be independent? Have we passed the point of no return? How would I know? Broke my heart.
Yeah, that's very, very heartbreaking. And I think I'm trying to kind of give guidance that is from a very different perspective.
Okay.
Because you struggle a lot when you have this image that you're trying to fit into, and now your child with autism doesn't allow you to quite get there.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a lot of what happens. This, right?
The drinking
it's like,
on the blanket.
Drinking on the blanket.
It's like a writhing.
Exactly. And it's like, I need to be able to drink on the blanket while my child is okay. So assume that that's really like something very important to you that you want to do. But under the current circumstances, assume it's not going to happen. So how do we make it happen for you? Maybe you need to have a au pair or a nanny or a younger cousin or some other thing that's going to allow you to have that. It's not quite the same. It's not. Yeah. But you'd be perfectly happy sitting on that blanket having a glass of wine with your friends if, let's say, you had a younger cousin or a nanny or just someone you've hired for 2 hours off of care.com is playing and engaging and making sure your child is safe.
Yeah.
So not, and not everyone can afford all kinds of help. But the truth is, sometimes we get stuck in thinking things have to be a certain way, and they don't. If you can have the end result, but it's in a different way, it's all good.
Yeah.
Like, I remember thinking a lot when my kids were young, shit, why do I have to work? Like, why do I have to leave them? Why do I have to travel? Why can't I this? Why can't I do that? Right? And what's going to happen if I'm not here? And all that sort of stuff. So I had au pairs. Yeah. I had au pairs who were with me, and they helped support the kids, and it all worked out. And whenever I could travel, I took them. It was a very different, people, when I say every time I had a child, pretty much like with Sonny, he came to work with me when he was 2 days old.
Oh my gosh.
Nikki, I took like 3 weeks off, my first, right? And then with Charlie, I literally, as soon as I could walk, because she was a C-section, as soon as I could walk, like 5 days later, I brought her. Yeah. So it's kind of like when I tell my friends, they're like, oh my God. Yeah. But it wasn't bad. It was just different. Yeah. Right? I mean, not everyone at the office would hold Sonny, and you know what I mean? So it was a different way, but he was with me. We had the same thing. So it's
And I don't know
different.
anybody closer to their kids than you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're like my best friends. Yeah. But it's like, I made it work in a way that it worked. Right. Where like I had to travel, so I made a fun thing out of it for them, where every time I was gone, they would open a gift every night. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you change your vision so that you get what you want out of it, they get what they want out of it. It's different than what you expected. It's that beautiful poem.
The Paris, or the Holland.
The Holland poem. I love that, right? Because it's so perfect. It's such a beautifully written poem about how your life is different, but stop grieving the life you thought and stop fighting to get back there, because this could also be, Holland is also beautiful. Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, it's much easier said than done, but it is there. You just have to give yourself additional supports. That's the key. That's why you and I fight all the time, Shannon, for people to get support, for people to get resources. That's why we have Act Today. That's why, because the bigger issue is everyone needs to realize if you have a child on the spectrum, you're gonna need some more help. Yeah. Period.
Well, I can tell people that tomorrow we're having a guest on the show, and our topic, our jargon of the day is respite. Yeah, because we don't talk enough about respite, and I don't think people understand how they can use respite. Like, for instance, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but I really believe that for respite, you could take your child to the park and have the respite worker meet you there at the park. And you could sit on the blanket, and 100%. You're not having to pay for it. Somebody else is paying for it. Right. But your child is at the park under their care.
There you go.
So, because it's supposed to be so that you take a break.
Right.
And so I believe that you can do that.
Yep, right.
I also, I know a lot of people who decide, okay, well, I'm going to do, they blow up one of those blow-up TV screens in their backyard and have the party over, have 4 kids, and the parents sit on the blanket while the respite worker entertains the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're on the blanket.
You're doing your thing. You've just made some slight modification that helps.
And what a great way of looking at it.
It's the only way you can survive, Shannon, right? It's not,
Yeah.
because otherwise you go through your entire life being angry, being bitter, being resentful.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about for me, and I used to, when I did my one-woman show, there was a part that was pivotal for me, and it was called The Bridge. And that what it always makes me cry. In the beginning, what I felt, what it was like that somebody shoved me on a bridge.
Yeah.
And said, you're not on mainland anymore.
Yeah.
You're out on a bridge.
Yeah.
And I kept looking longingly back at the land and saying, how do I get back there?
Yeah.
And everybody kept saying, move forward, because there's more of us getting on the bridge. And then, you get further and further away from the mainland, and that I started looking around on the bridge and noticing that everybody wasn't miserable.
Yeah.
That some people were happy.
They had managed to figure it out.
And I was asking those people, how are you doing this?
How did you get to happiness?
And I was still in the, how come, pardon my French, but I was like, how come we got served sandwich?
Yeah, why me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
was still in that pity party. But the further I got on the bridge and noticing that some people were having a good time on the bridge, that I started to, that it sort of changed. And for me, that was the beginning of acceptance.
Yeah.
Because acceptance is not the same thing as contentment.
No.
You don't have to be happy with it. But when you feel that, and your brain goes, okay, this is what is. It's that Byron Katie thing.
Yeah.
This is what is. Okay. Then you take a breath.
Yeah.
I mean, I just went through this with the move. When I got a phone call, I was getting on a plane the next day, and I got a phone call saying, you got to be out of your house in 60 days. I was like, no.
Yeah.
And I went through a good solid 8-9 days where I was like, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then my head went, but that's what it is. Now, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
Right? So same thing with autism. I was out on the bridge, and then it changed, and I accepted that this was where we were.
Yeah.
And this is, and so it makes everything looks different. And that I got past the middle of the bridge, past the place where now,
Yeah.
if somebody said to me, we could go back and we could take it all away, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's so much of our experience and his
It's your life.
experience.
It's your
I could
life.
not do it differently now. And I understand that isn't going to be everybody's journey.
No.
But
But
it changes it.
yeah, and things change all the time.
Yeah.
So like when he was diagnosed, you were in a very, very different autism world.
Oh, yes. How lucky was I? And I didn't know it.
Well, and also, how much have things gotten better now?
Well,
let me just,
if you know how to work it, yes.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about that aspect of like funding and so on.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the group you joined. You joined a group of people that were not that many.
Yeah.
Right now, it is impossible to tell anyone what you do, what I do, and for them not to say, my niece, my nephew, my son, my brother has it.
Absolutely.
So just that fact alone, it makes the experience less scary. Just think about it as a parent. You are now one of 30.
Yeah.
So it's
Hadn't thought
not
about that.
as scary as 1 in 15,000.
Right.
Like there's a lot that goes on with societal change.
Yeah.
Like, the parents who came in when there was no insurance coverage.
Yeah.
The parents who came in right after there was insurance coverage.
Yeah.
The parents whose there was insurance, but they were too old to get it. I mean, everybody's experience is different in some way. The parents who are in the United States or in California versus in Pakistan.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, the experience is so incredibly... The parents who are here, but their family makes it so shameful that they can't even access services. So there's a billion things. The way I look at it with autism is that it is this very difficult thing that's thrown at you, and hopefully people figure out how to learn from it and become better and stronger.
Yeah.
Because I have also seen parents who are devastated for a long time and can't get it together.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they're just depressed, and it goes on forever.
And angry, going back
And
to
angry.
Parker's thing. You
Absolutely,
know,
grief.
Whenever I'm talking to our staff, I talk about the fact that, I feel like parents are lighthouses.
Yes.
And we've got this anger, and it's going around, and it's looking for somebody to land on.
Right.
And I always say to our staff, if you You know, if a parent's coming with anger, if it's hysterical, it's historical. It's not you. You can't take it personally.
Right.
They were looking for maybe there was like something that happened that didn't go right, because we're all people and make mistakes and stuff, but that's not what they're reacting about.
Right.
You know, it's hard. And I feel that even myself, that I go from 0 to 200 if I feel that somebody is trying to disenfranchise somebody. Nobody wants to be around me. Chris, I need to tell you that I've lost the chat. So if somebody's chatting, I need you to send it to me on our chat. But but I don't want this parent to give up hope.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's what we hope for all of our parents, is to get the support before they give up hope, right? Because once you give up hope, I've had parents where it switches from mom to dad because mom becomes so depressed that she's really not able to do anything, and dad has to take over. Meanwhile, that same family that I'm thinking of right now, all 3 children were diagnosed. All 3 children ended up going to Ivy League universities. All 3, I swear.
Yeah.
So, and mom was so depressed that we were concerned about her.
Yeah.
Like, so, it isn't easy. There's no question. This is one of the hardest things that parents go through. I've always told you, this is why I'm still here.
Yeah.
Is the parents.
Oh, I know.
I have always told you that once I saw the first mom, who I remember still, who came to my office at UCLA, started crying and just telling me everything that was inside her. I was a kid. I was like 26 years old. I was getting my doctorate there. And I'm sitting and thinking, I will never leave this field, because if there's anything I can ever do for these people, I have to be here.
You do realize that a lot of people run away from that.
I could never run away from that. It's like someone in such...
But it's one of the reasons why I love you so much, because a lot of people would go, I can't deal with that. Yeah. And the fact that you said, okay, I'm never leaving this.
It's just a matter of like sitting and like holding that person. And that's all I did, because I didn't know. I was a kid. Yeah. I couldn't tell her everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But all I could do was, it's okay now. It's okay. Yeah. We will do our best. Don't worry. You know what I mean? Yes. You're in the best place. Like it's so hard. It's just so many parts of it are incredibly difficult. Sometimes I was just talking to some of our advisors, and they were saying, you should really be doing just the things that you really enjoy doing.
Yes.
And I was thinking about all the different things we do here at CARD. And I mean, right now I'm heavily focused on producing new technology, but what I love so much when I see the reports from you and Vince on the parent meetings that you have, I would love to just kind of like, without anyone announcing it, I would just love to be a fly on the wall and listen to one of those,
We can make that happen.
I would love that. I would love it. It's a specific time, huh? It's on Thursday nights or something? Or?
Well, we do there's all kinds of things we do. We'll talk.
Yeah,
there's a way that you can be a fly on the wall.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. But I want to say to this mom, this resonated with me so much, because I used to be the mom who wanted to be. I had stopped drinking by that point, because I can't accomplish anything and drink.
Yeah.
That's just me. But I wanted to be on the blanket enjoying the music.
Yeah.
I get that. We used to go where we lived in Santa Clarita. They had a concert at the big park, and everybody went.
Yeah.
And it was always tribute bands, and I wanted to be able to sit and enjoy the music, but I was always running after my child. Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. And I remember thinking, will there ever be a time that we come to the park and drop him off and say, okay, at 11 o'clock we'll meet you here and we'll leave, and then I will know. And it happened for us.
Sure.
But when he was 6, there was I was still asking that question. There was no possibility of that. So I personally don't want you to give up hope, but I want to make sure you're getting the help. And we had people who were working 24/7 on you guys.
Yeah.
CARD was working on safety with him. We would never have made it without that. So don't think it's just going to happen.
Right.
I get so frustrated when people, it's like they, well-meaning people who are ignorant will say to them, he'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
No, there's no fairy that comes in the night and goes boink, and your child immediately has independence. We worked on every skill that my son has. Yeah. So, but just work with people who have a plan and can make that happen.
And that's how it is. You have to work on individual skills, and you have to really kind of enjoy each level of independence, I would say. And it's not, we never, I mean, it's the same as neurotypical kids. You don't say, oh, yay, I'm going to be so happy when he's fully independent. Yeah. You basically say, I'm going to be so happy when he's, able to manage his life in high school. Yeah. He's able to manage himself when he goes off to college. If he's, it's different tasks and skills.
And we've had Liz, I'm drawing a blank, but I think her last name is Becker. She's the author of The World According to Matt. Mm-hmm. And Matt is, my God, I think Matt's in his 40s now. But somebody who's pretty profoundly affected. Mm-hmm. But Matt had a lot of siblings, and when they all grew up and went to college and moved out, Matt would, let her know. He's minimally verbal, but he would let her know, when do I get to do that? Oh. So what Liz did for 10 years, she made a list of everything and showed him the list and said, you need to be able to do this. And so for 10 years, they worked on that while she worked and looked for a place where he could go and live independently but have support.
Oh my God.
And he lives in a senior facility where he has a red cord that he can pull, but he's been living there for 5 years independently.
Amazing.
Because it was important to him, and one by one
he wanted the
they
independence.
learned the skills, and she would cross them off the list. Yeah. And he's I think the most profoundly affected person I know that's living independently.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, Shannon, because we forget, and even I am guilty of this, and it just shouldn't be, but we forget the wishes of the profoundly affected. It was his wish. He wanted independence. He wanted it, yeah. And we don't think about that because we don't think about them thinking. This is the truth.
Yes, and that's a terrible, terrible.
It's a terrible, terrible thing.
Space.
But we don't think about them thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
And he's probably thinking, I am frustrated with mom or dad taking care of me all the time, and I'm feeling like a lack of self-esteem, and I would feel much more, better about myself if I was independent. Do you know what I mean?
Because totally
they can't express, we're just guessing.
There's a wonderful young man that is one of our gentle giants in the community here in Los Angeles. And I remember when his mother made the difficult decision to have him, she first sent him to a couple of sleepaway camps for a couple of weeks up north, and he did so well. And she was like, why am I holding this back? But so he was placed here in Los Angeles in a place that has 3 adult men with a family that lives with the 3 adult men. And she thought she was going to feel so bad about it. He has excelled. She still sees him on a regular basis. She picks him up, takes him to dinner. Yeah. They go to dinner, they play, they do whatever. And now he texts. He wasn't before, but he has a phone and he texts her. And so he'll say, I'm ready to go home now.
Yeah.
And
fantastic.
And she takes him home, and he's done better as a result of it. And she said, I wish somebody had told me that was a possibility.
Yeah.
That he would be happier, because they do still have the same thoughts and feelings. It might just be, different. Yeah. But everybody wants a level of independence.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so hard, just going back and thinking about the child I was with yesterday. Yeah. And he was he was fine, and then he started to have a very, very kind of lengthy tantrum and so on. And I thought to myself, God, what are you feeling and thinking? I wish you could tell me.
Yeah, right.
I just wish, and so many. That's why, of course, the book, Let Me Hear Your Voice. Yeah. Just being able to hear, are you in pain? Are you just frustrated from all these therapists? Are you... are you hot? Are you cold? Are you hungry? What's going on?
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get to the root of that, because it's the opposite of what ABA tells you to do. You can't at that moment start saying, would you like something,
Right, right.
So it's such a dilemma for me always with non-vocal kids or kids who have a hard time expressing themselves. This is not even a non-vocal. He can talk, but... Yeah. It's very hard when you see an individual who's suffering and you can't figure out what's going on with them.
Yeah. And they can't necessarily either. That's also
That's
hard.
also very true. But I mean, that's true of all of us.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of us can't figure out what we're feeling.
That's so true. So true. I'm going to move on to another question. I'm 16 years old and my parents don't believe that I can do anything on my own.
Oh, wow.
They don't even let me try. Yes, I'm autistic, but there are lots of adults that are independent and autistic. Will I ever be independent if they don't let me try? What can I say to them to let me try? Can I say, do you remember in the first year that we were doing this, that there was a young woman who basically wrote something similar?
Yes, I remember that very well.
And do you know, I still stay in contact with her.
Yeah,
she is about to graduate from college.
Amazing. Yeah,
Both of her
wouldn't allow her
parents
to
have
go to
passed
college.
away now.
Wow.
And she is living with a family member.
Amazing.
And very independent. And thank goodness
Yeah.
that you talked to her and she went back and talked to her
Her
mom.
mom, I remember
and
that.
And she started to learn cooking skills and things because now her parents are no longer with us.
With us. Isn't that insane?
Can you imagine?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So what do you want to say to this young woman?
You know, it's...
Why am I saying it's a young woman? I don't know that. I don't know why. I put that on. It could be a young man. I apologize.
You actually could say a lot more to this person than I could because you went through this with your son. I think it's and I guess the answer I have is just they are worried about you. Yeah. They want to make sure you are safe. Yeah. It's not that they think you can't do it. It's just that, I don't remember who exactly told me this, but a parent said to me that, when and this is all parents, right? All moms especially, but all parents, when you have a newborn, you learn their needs. You do. You can differentiate. This is a pain cry. That's an I'm wet cry. That's an I'm hungry cry. That's a, whatever. You can tell. And with typically developing kids, you then, it lasts a short period of time because before you know it, the child can start vocalizing and saying, then there's a cry for pain only. And when they're hungry, they actually tell you. And it starts to turn into words and actions. But with kids who are not typically developing, what happens is mom has to continue to read the individual's mind and heart. Yes. You have to continue for a long period of time figuring out what's wrong. What can I do to help you? So because of that behavior of being protective and the interpreter and, the savior and all of that becomes ingrained. And as a parent, you just feel like, what? I have to stop doing that? That's just part of the life that I learned. That's all it is.
Yeah,
it's
really
not
hard.
It's not, saying no, you can't do it. It's more about mom and dad just continuing to do what they were trained to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't always realize how controlling I'm being.
Right, of course.
And Jem has gotten good now about saying to me, I can learn to do this myself now with you here watching me.
Or I can
wait until you're dead and try to figure it out without you. And then I go, whoa.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of what my life is filled with right now because, I'm in the big let go.
Yeah.
And so I'm very cognizant of that. Even as I was letting go of stuff in my garage, I was like, because I didn't want to. I like to hold on to everything. And I was like, I don't want him to have to go through this when I die.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to let go of this right now.
Interesting.
Right? And so maybe if you go to your parents and say, it's very simple. It's a little passive aggressive, but he'll say to me, I can learn how to do this right now in front of you while you're watching, but you let me do it independently. Or I can wait and learn it by myself when you're not here. And it's just a terrible thing that I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that thing that I was talking about when we started, it makes me go, oh crap, I got to focus on the independence a little bit more in order to keep him safe.
Yeah, I think it's a change in who you are. It's a change in stopping being the leader and learning to be a little bit more the wallpaper.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
Hard.
It's like,
that's hard.
Let me see what happens if I'm not telling everyone what to do.
Yes.
And I practice that every day in all of my meetings. I'm like, let me give this 10 minutes and see where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it goes wrong.
I was gonna say we usually run it into the ditch.
It doesn't work right. But sometimes it goes. Once in a while, it'll go perfectly right, and I'll be so rewarded.
Yeah.
But with my kids, it's the same process. Like sometimes I will sit there and I'll be like, let me see how they're gonna deal with this.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good, and I'll just leave it. And it's not always a matter of it being perfectly what I want. It's just like, okay, that's a different solution, but it's acceptable. It's not the end of the world. It's fine.
I'm trying to do this now with my husband.
Yeah. Wait, so did Jem move with you or no?
He did, but only for a couple of months. So the plan is he's moving out. Yeah.
Well, that's very big for you.
It's very big for me, but it's good because there's also the transition.
New place.
And so I think after the holidays, that's the plan, that he's
out.
And because we don't have enough room to, as my mother would say, there's not enough room to swing a dead cat. My mother had these phrases, but anyway, and it's good because it's a step down, right?
Yeah, it's a gradual,
But it's so funny because I learned how to teach my son something, but my husband came to me as a 45-year-old adult. I didn't think that but what I see is that, and I've been saying this to everybody, and I digress, but it applies to our kids, that when something has to get done, I'm like, let's get it done, whirling dervish. And there was a moment the other day, because we had this massive garage sale, and then afterwards there was just a pile of stuff that had to be taken care of, and Jem and I had to do it. And we were so tired, we were stupid. And so I reverted right back to the parent that I was, and I said, okay, let's set the timer for 3 minutes, and let's see how much we can clean up in 3 minutes.
Oh my God.
And in 2.5 minutes,
3 minutes?
And in 2.5 minutes we had it done. Which is how we always used to clean up the Legos.
Yeah.
Right? That he didn't want to clean up the Legos. I didn't want to, and I would say, okay, let's set the timer, 3 minutes. And we'd have fun for 3 minutes. And we did the same thing with the garage sale stuff. But I see with my husband that he just goes, oh, she's in charge, and I'll just
I'll back off.
I'll be on the beach in my head.
Yeah.
And so even, to the other day, he went to the new place that he had started a load of laundry, and he called me and he's like, should I put it in the dryer?
Oh my God.
And I said, well, let's think it through, Jim.
Yeah.
I didn't say, yes, of course. I said, let's think it through. Should you? Maybe we should leave it in the washer. What will happen if we leave? Exactly what I would have done.
Passive-aggressive
part. Just a little. But it's what I would have done when he was 7.
Yeah.
When it was, I would say, well, no, we could leave it there, but what will happen as a result? What should you do? And so I said to Jim, well, I don't know. What do you think? What should we do? Yeah. And he was like, well, I think I should probably put it in the dryer. And I was like, good plan.
Oh my
That's a
God.
great plan.
Oh my
but I'm
God.
right there. I know you guys can relate. And I am confident. My husband is supposed to be packing things off to Goodwill today, so he shouldn't be watching the show. But my husband is wonderful.
Oh my gosh.
Don't let me make,
That's so funny.
He is funny but wonderful.
We're out of
fabulous.
time.
Are we out of time? Oh my God, we've gone over. And I had so many.
Okay.
I was having such a good time, you guys. All right, you guys. So we're having a wonderful guest tomorrow. Sarah Crawford is going to be with us. She's the CEO of TLC and Autism Prep in North Carolina, and she's really good with nonprofits and helping parents who are overwhelmed. So we're going to be talking about the overwhelm tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about respite and all of those things. And then we've got great shows coming up for you. Gosh, we had a great pediatric neurologist who was with us last week from MedMaps.
Who was it?
You
gotta send me his name.
Guy Tanis,
I don't know
really wonderful. I mean, I was so excited to talk with him. You would love him.
Where is he, in LA or
no, he's in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Really good though.
Okay, great.
Anyway,
you got to send me his info.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, more exciting shows, you guys. So much coming, and more about All Ghouls. And thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I'm so glad I could.
Such a light. And until then, giving all of you a hug for you and one for your kiddos, of course. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.